I'm Eric.
And I'm Steve.
Iconic Masters. Let's talk about it. Hey, Planeswalkers. Welcome to the Collector Mania YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Iconic Masters since the full list is out.
And the absolute craziness that you missed because you were on a cruise.
Yeah, I was on vacation for the last week or so. This is our first day back filming, and yeah, it was a lot. I guess the tail end of Ixalan, and then
It was kind of fun actually to see like somebody's response that hadn't seen the set yet,
Yeah.
because you were just like, wait, what?
yep.
Mana Drain?
I heard about some of it working like a few shifts at the shop since then, and yeah, there's some good stuff. And first, of course, we've got Mana Drain.
Yes. Yeah. This, I mean, the artwork is awesome.
Yes.
I know that some people are a little bit like, I like the original, blah, 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 but I think this is sweet. I think it's going to be look amazing in foil.
Yeah.
I love that they're even reprinting it to begin with.
Yes.
Like, it's an amazing card to have for us Commander players.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, what were our choices to spend $400 or whatever to get one?
Yeah.
Essentially.
No, it's not good. And now you can get them in packs. Even if you just pick up a box or do a draft or something, like, you have a chance at this card now that isn't buying the old, I guess, Antiquity or, like, Legends one, you know?
Because there's two printings of it, because there's a Judge promo, isn't there,
Yes,
as well?
I believe so.
Yeah. And that's the one I believe is like $400, or was. I don't know what it'll be after this.
Yeah. Hopefully this card, I feel this is very similar to like a Mana Crypt, you know?
Yeah. I think it's more of a Mana Crypt than it is a Tarmogoyf, because as we
Yes.
saw, Tarmogoyf got printed a million times and never affected the price.
Yeah, it's still up there, but, you know, Mana Crypt used to be like $150 at least, and then now it's 70. You know? So that's not so bad. Like,
so I'm not sure what other formats. I mean, because I think it's banned in Legacy, isn't it?
it might be. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because
Actually,
I know it's not Modern legal, of course.
Yeah, of course
I think
not.
it is played in Eternal, or not Eternal.
Vintage.
Vintage. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
that seems right to me.
Yeah.
Just being so old.
Yeah, such a crazy card. I know that we have our kind of our own versions with Plasma Capture and a few
Yes.
other spells, but
Yep.
just having Mana Drain in a mono blue deck, if I get a copy, it's going straight into my Tall Run deck.
Is that a 1v1?
No, it's
No.
just it's a dual deck, or it's a multiplayer commander deck, but I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, of course.
I actually don't really have a blue commander 1v1 deck anymore since Geist got banned.
Yeah, I've started something in you, and now you got to build one.
No, not really.
Besides Mana Drain and some other really good ones, we've got a full cycle of the Praetors again.
Which is a good idea.
Yeah, some of them had been reprinted.
I mean, I think the only one that's not like highly looked after is probably the red one, and that's about it. Like all the other four are good.
He's good. I mean, Urbrask is good, I think.
Well, I'm talking mainly value wise.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely understand that Urabrask is pretty
Yeah.
punchy. I have him in a few decks as well. But
And I can see that as well. You know, you think of Jin-Gitaxias. What are cards that the shop hasn't had in a while? Like,
Yeah.
I think we might have an Elish Norn or two. But Jin-Gitaxias, anybody that comes in, there's no chance. Like, Sheldred luckily had that promo,
yeah,
which gave everybody some extra copies of that floating around.
and I think she was in a commander product as well.
Yeah, you
can't remember.
might be right as well. But
Vorinclex.
Vorinclex, he's always out of stock. Urbrask, I think you're right, he's the one we had for the longest time after New Phyrexia, but of course everybody in Commander wants their stuff to have haste. Like,
Yeah.
so it's good that they're reprinting these, and of course Elish Norn, like probably one of the more fair ones, I'd say. Like,
Yeah, it's funny. It's the most fair one, but
It's, like,
one of the
brutal
most fair
still.
ones, but it's the most brutal in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Because I mean, that's a 4-point swing as far as
Yes.
like power, which is ridiculous.
and odds are you're taking somebody's board out. So
Oh, yeah.
if you play white and you have tokens or creatures, you want to make them a little bit bigger, get an Elish Norn.
I mean, I've seen Elish Norn as its own commander deck too,
Yeah.
and it works. So
Yeah,
same with Sheldred, but
it's good to welcome back those Praetors for sure.
and Jin-Gitaxias.
Just to kind of give you some background, we kind of highlighted A, new art,
Yep.
B, like welcomed reprints,
Yes.
and I'd say definitely the Consecrated Sphinx is one of them. I remember when this card was like spiking, it was about $12, and then it went up to 20 for a couple weeks, and we just don't have them.
And like my only gripe with this is I wish they would have done different artwork.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like this card has been. I mean, yeah, it's iconic because it's the original artwork and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But I think this is definitely one of them that they could have changed it up a little bit.
Just made it a more normal looking Sphinx.
Yeah,
or
because I
something.
mean, this thing's so bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
it's like this mutant Sphinx thing that I'm sure a lot of Sphinx players, like tribal Sphinx players, would like a pretty consecrated Sphinx.
One that looks a little bit.
I personally would,
because they did make an invocation version of this.
Yeah,
right?
and the artwork looked amazing
Yeah.
outside of the actual card, which is kind of stupid to even think about. But because of the stupid, well, I should not say stupid, but because of the frame that they decided to use, it kind of took away from the amazing artwork that's on that card.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think you're right. I think it would be cool to see.
Like if they would have taken that artwork and stuck it on this card without that goofy frame, I would have been
just like
happy as could
out
be.
of control. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, this will be another good one to pick up if as a mythic, it's kind of tough to get in packs, I guess. But again, if it's down from like $15 to maybe $7,
like should make it more accessible either way.
Yes, of course. Next, we've got a full cycle of redone dragon art.
And I think the main reason we're talking about this is because of the artwork.
Yeah.
Like these cards were in the first Modern Masters, as mythics, I believe, which they finally a good idea. They downgraded them to rares because.
People would be upset if they keep getting Jugen as a mythic.
Ryosei as a mythic is not a good idea.
No.
Like Kega, I mean that artwork is ridiculous. I like all of them to be honest. Like even the Ryosei and the what's the green one again?
Jugen.
Yeah. Artworks look amazing. Kakusho, of course, that's probably the big money one. Every mono black player, or just if you're playing black in general, you probably want this card.
Yeah.
And artwork is spectacular. It captures the Kamigawa feel, in my opinion. It's got those spirits like floating around him. Yeah.
It's kind of the backgrounds too, like especially the Kega. You can just see the what is it? Not Magosi.
The falls.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are called either. But
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
But man.
It's funny after playing Breath of the Wild, like these guys like have a whole different like vision to me
Yeah,
now too, because I keep thinking I need to shoot them with arrows to get scales.
Get some loot from them, right?
Yeah.
Definitely good. I think, like you said, Kakusho, and then you think of like Tegam or Taiga, the blue one.
Kega.
I want to say Taigam, and Yosei and then Ryusei and Jugen. They're good. But just the art, I'm glad they're coming back, and you got those first 3 to get, and then new art for all of them.
Yeah. A really notable reprint is the Archangel of Thune. Yeah. Like this card has shot up in price. Like as soon as it was like played in standard, it just shot up $1 million, and then people realized how good it was. They started playing it. I think even in modern at one point. I think Commander, it's been a house like forever. It's, +1/+1 counter strategies. It just does everything you want it to do, really.
Yes. And I think it was around like $20 or so. Mm-hmm. So another welcomed reprint as far as just a solid card, a lot of places to put it, and now it's got another print.
Yeah.
So another good choice. Mythic, not bad.
Ancestral Visions, another crazy print.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are really big on this artwork. This is one of the ones that I think they could have kept iconic. I know that I did the exact opposite with Consecrated Sphinx, but I don't feel like this artwork necessarily adds anything to the card, personally. It's good artwork. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't know.
I think I'm so used to the like Ancestral Visions, like sweeping look, and kind of the way they did that almost like split card look in Time Spiral with like Krosan Grip, as far as you've got a sword and then it's nothing. And here you've got the city that's in its like bubble, and then the ruins outside of it and stuff. Like it is interesting. I wonder what this card will probably look pretty sweet in foil.
It probably will.
But it's kind of hard to say.
I mean, to me, like I said, there's nothing really necessarily wrong with the artwork. It just looks kind of bland-ish to me. Like it's kind of boring in my opinion. And I think it's supposed to be Kaladesh. I'm not sure, because you see like these Thopters and stuff.
Yeah. And boats, it looks like, maybe.
Or it could be Dominaria, to be honest, now that I think about it. Like this might be like a look forward into the Dominaria set kind of thing.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of tidbit about it somewhere. So
yeah. Definitely a good one. Glad to see like a $50 card go down in price, hopefully. And maybe even $25, I think people would be cool with.
Another really good reprint.
Yes.
Champion. This is more of a modern card.
Yes. Soul Sisters.
Yeah. I play it in my 1v1 Thalia build, but it's definitely a really really interesting card. It's like you said, it's another Soul Sister, so you can add it into any kind of like Darien deck or anything like that wants to gain a lot of life. But I mean, just a very good reprint, really.
And like you mentioned, especially for 1v1, because
oh yeah,
I think most people with most cards just see, okay, this is another Soul Sister. It's a life gain card, but really the key here is protection black red.
Yeah.
Like if you're, like you said, if you're up against anything that's got one of those colors and you put a sword on this,
yeah,
it's just like, okay, good luck. Hopefully you're playing that one color and have some removal.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're probably going to be getting hit for 1 plus maybe a 2/2 every turn. Like
it just says lightning bolt. What lightning bolt?
Yeah, or I mean, really a great card. And I think people often overlook protection, and especially in those colors. Like you can deal with this in white.
I did that recently, actually, with the Phyrexian Crusader, or not Crusader, the other one, the
Mirran Crusader.
No, Phyrexian Crusader. That's what I'm thinking of. I was playing mono red against Kylie, and he put down a Phyrexian Crusader, and I was just like, oh,
that's not good.
How do I deal with that?
Yeah. Yeah, but another good one. I don't know if this one's super expensive.
Oh no, it is.
It
like
is?
for a long time, it was like $30.
Holy cow!
And then
I
it was
didn't
up to
realize.
40 at one point. I remember because I was trying to buy a full playset because I was going to build a kind of like a Soul Sister token variant for Modern, just like a fun experiment deck, and like that card stopped me from doing it
I see.
because it was just like, no.
Good to be back then, I guess.
Yes.
I guess I'm sure we haven't had this card in at least a year. Being from Mirrodin, I think, is its only print. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Those cards just vanish past a certain point.
Oh, command cycle. Well, not cycle, but
'Cause
two of the cards.
Austere and this, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I mean, not many people care about the red one. Profane's not bad. Green is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'd say they have the best two as far as Cryptic Command and Austere Command.
I would
in the
agree.
cycle.
And the new artworks look amazing once
Yes.
again. Like
Yeah.
the Cryptic Command, I really like. I know a lot of people are really big on the old artwork for Cryptic Command again, or the promo version, but I like this a lot.
Yeah. Just another good one. I think even after Lorwyn print of textless foil, you kind of can't count that for price, but like there's Modern Masters 1 and I think Modern Masters 3 or maybe Eternal. I think there's 4 prints of this card.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And now it's getting a 5th, and I think even now it's still like a $20 card.
Yeah.
So I mean, this will be a great one.
Well,
Pick it
it's me and Lauren were actually talking about this the other day. It's kind of funny because Cryptic Command for Commander players doesn't necessarily hold as much weight as it used to because now we've got things like Mystic Confluence and other just crazy spells like that. We kind of like were bouncing back and forth between which one do I think is better for the playstyle that I like and enjoy. And honestly, I landed on Mystic Confluence just because it does more for me.
Yeah.
I know it's only got 3 modes, and the modes aren't necessarily as good. Like, the tapping all creatures your opponents control is huge with this card.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, Mystic Confluence, although it costs 1 more mana, it actually fits into more decks, just because it only has 2 blue compared to the 3 blue here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess my ending argument between what me and Lauren were talking about is that Cryptic Command for, like, mono blue and 2 color, and the Mystic Confluence for essentially anything else.
I could see that.
But, I mean, obviously an amazing card. I will, if I have the option, I'll play both all the time. So,
Yeah, they're definitely good. And I think it's almost like you said, it's good in a more varied area, but it's almost like the baby Cryptic Command.
it is. And it's like Cryptic Command Light.
Yeah.
But-
And I think they did that on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
you think of all the confluences, they're all pretty good. Like,
Well, yeah, any of them are absolutely ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
the Verdant Confluence is becoming one of my favorite, like, just... like utility cards for green decks because I mean it ramps you, it puts counters on things, and it like I can't remember the last mode, but they're all good.
yeah. So a good returning
Oh,
card.
gets cards from your graveyard. That's right.
Oh yeah, very similar to the Primal Command, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, that art is pretty sweet, and
Yeah.
they kept the same like
Same the symbol.
like glyph or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Next, this
Blood
one's
Gas.
played in Modern, right? It's a vampire.
Yep, which is kind of why I wanted to talk about it for us, just because it's another great addition to if anybody's building the Edgar Markov deck. As if you watched our 1v1 our entire gameplay essentially, because I think we featured that deck in every one of them. Like his vampire deck was really, really good. I don't think he ever played Bloodghast, but this would be a great addition to that because you can bring it back so easily. I believe Edgar you have to cast the vampire to get the token with, but still, just having a recurring Bloodghast in like a 1v1 Edgar deck is really, really good.
Yeah, that'd definitely be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think again another somewhat pricey one.
Yeah.
I think this did get a print in Eternal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So hopefully that'll...
It's hard to keep track of
it
nowadays.
It used to be easy when it's, oh yeah, this was either the good Modern Masters or the bad Modern Masters. And now there's another Modern Masters on top of that.
It's only going to keep getting worse, too, because now we've got, Magic 25 or whatever coming out soon,
next year, yeah. And then, you think of Eternal into the mix, and yeah, it's good. Like, they're getting cards in people's hands, which is the good thing. So... Yeah. Next, and speaking of a card that is needed a reprint, if do you know when this card was first printed and only printed?
Yeah, and one of the Commander products.
Yeah,
right?
2011. Yeah. So 6 years ago, Flusterstorm hit the scene.
Because it was like $70 for a really long time.
I think it's still up there at probably 80 plus or 100. And I was just commenting. Of course, over the years, we picked up a good number of these, and people quit or say, "Hey, I found out this card's worth $80." Like. The shop picks them up, and now there's a big stack of them. So, yeah, that's how it goes, though. And I'm glad they're getting it. Like, I think the menace of Storm, yikes, has dissipated a little bit in Modern.
I mean, or
Legacy, I guess. Like,
I think about Storm, and I can't even really think of the last time I saw somebody playing Storm. I think when they banned. What was the big card that they just banned not too long ago? Anyway, one of the more notable pieces they banned it like 2 years ago or something like that. And that was when I actually had a friend that played that deck, and like as soon as that got banned, he was like, "Okay, I'm out." It's
and you're talking like Modern or Legacy, right?
Yeah, Modern.
Or I guess it couldn't be Modern because this card isn't in Modern. But
yeah, that's true. As far as Flusterstorm, actually, as far as Commander, I have never really had a chance to play with it just because of its price tag.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I'll like it that much. I know it's a 1-mana counterspell, and it's kind of punchy, but I don't know.
I think there's a reason this is a rare. I think it's like, well, maybe two. Get it in people's hands. Mm-hmm. If Legacy players want this to counter Storm, if they run into it, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Besides like a Mind Raid Big Trap or something, but like this... it's good. It's expensive. Now it's in people's hands. But I think you're right. In EDH, like, how many times do you see a bunch of spells on a stack?
No.
Like,
usually people let things resolve and then they move on.
They keep going, right.
Which I think may have even been like a response to like Mind Break Traps and stuff like that. Which makes a lot of sense, really.
And if you think about, like, this can stop a Grape Shot if it's going to kill everybody. Or an Empty the Warrens or something, like... But, I don't know.
I think it was a problem with it's a scarcity, not a demand.
Yeah,
which is kind of odd to think about
for $100 card.
Yeah, really.
I agree, and I will admit I could be missing a huge part of this because I don't play blue. Like,
I mean, like I play blue, and like I said, I've never had a chance to play this card, so I don't really know. Like, I understand it from this level, but as we've seen many times, like until you play with something, you really don't know.
Yeah.
I can understand where it could be good, but thinking back to what you just said, like how many times have I run into a situation where this would be really good? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good in those few situations, but for the most part, I'm not going to be able to counter anything with this because people are just going to pay the one.
And isn't there not a substitute, I guess, but
or the two, I guess.
There's
points.
The Is It one.
I'm not sure.
That ends all like counters all spells.
Oh yeah, yeah. There are a lot of spells that just say counter all spells on the stack.
Yeah.
Like you brought up Mind Break Trap. Counterflux is the one I think you're thinking of.
I think you're right.
So I mean, there are spells that already do that for you. Yeah, this one's significantly cheaper if you think about it, but it's also dependent on what's going on.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like I said, you could rip us apart in the comments about this, but I really this is cool.
I'm glad it's back for the people who
I'll try it. If I get one, I'll play it and see. Maybe my mind will be completely changed about it, but
we'll make an update at that point.
I think you're right. I think EDH is just too big, like one spell compared to a bunch of little tiny spells.
Yeah, I can see it.
At least for our play group. I'm sure there are play groups out there where they're just comboing off all the time, and it's just like, I'm gonna cast 100 versions of this, and then this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be your ticket.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Thoughtseize again, and I'm really happy they did the artwork. Yeah.
not that the Theros art was bad, but man, I remember years ago when I first started playing. I think one of the first packs I opened was a Japanese Thoughtseize, and I think I gave it to Chris because I didn't play right after I first bought my pack. Gave it to him, and he might still have it. I don't know, but like, God, that art is so good.
Yeah,
just so crazy.
Well, and the style is so whimsical, just like that entire set. And this, once again, iconic.
Very iconic. Yeah. Definitely a good choice to keep this art. Again, not that the other one's very bad, but
no.
Man, so good. And who can argue? One of the best like disruption spells.
Yeah, I mean, I think I already have a copy for my 1v1 deck, but if I don't, I will be looking for this version.
Yeah.
Just because it won't be as ridiculous as the original, but it won't be, the new Theros artwork, which is okay once again, but it's not my favorite.
Really quick on a side note, do we know the MSRP of a pack of this set? Is it $10?
I believe it is. I believe they stuck with the same Eternal Masters pricing or the same Modern Masters pricing or whatever. So if
you think about it, like having a chance, like when I bought Modern Masters 1, I was like, everybody of course was like, give me a sword foil, give me a Tarmogoyf foil. And over the years it's kind of changed. Like there hasn't been as much crazy stuff. It was still give me a Tarmogoyf, give me a fetch land, like that sort of thing. Give me a Mana Crypt or something like.
Well, I mean, if you think about Modern Masters 3, the fetch, or was that Eternal Masters? Which one were the fetch lands in?
That was Eternal, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It was Modern Masters 3.
Well, regardless, I think those lands are what held that one up.
Yeah.
To be honest, because those were like the chase cards.
Yes.
Whereas like in this one, there are a lot of chase cards, and they're all like super good for different formats, and I think they did a really good job of spreading it out.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they hit Commander perfect. I mean, like they gave us a lot of cards that we really want, but they also really chose cards that are both good for Commander and Legacy. Like if you think about like, I don't know, we just talked about like a few of them. In my like Cryptic Command would be a good example of like a card that's good in multiple formats. Thoughtseid's not so much for us, but for like 1v1 it's not bad. Obviously any format that can run it, it's great in. So,
and now you've got a chance to get it in foil. That's where I was going as far as like, could you imagine pulling one of these? Yeah. Like I think a Lorwyn foil Thoughtseize is like hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And now you get a chance in Modern Masters again. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody freaks out over this at the shop. So beautiful. Next, Magus of the Moon, of course. Like,
and there's another really good example of what we were just talking about. Like this card. Is really good in a lot of formats, and I will play it in Commander.
Yes.
I mean, this card...
Especially 1v1, like...
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah. I ran it in Ben for a long time, and, I think I took it out for the Combustible Gearhulk, so I think that was a good trade.
Yeah.
I just... At least for me. Another sidebar. I run a lot of non-basics, so even in a mono red deck, like... that really...
Yeah, I guess that would hurt you pretty bad.
It messes me up pretty bad, so I'll take the big greedy... Combustible Gearhulk.
Combustible Gearhulk's just a good card, though.
Yeah, and I think this one was kind of moderate in price, maybe $10 to $20 or something. So
yeah, I think it had spiked a little bit after it wasn't printed in Eternal Masters or whatever. But
so
glad now it'll go down. So
yes, yeah, that's kind of a theme.
Yeah,
this one I think is a scarcity type issue.
Yes, this one price isn't bad, but scarcity is ridiculous. I can't find this card to save my life.
No.
And it's played a lot.
Yes.
I mean, in our format, it's a really good card to write a replication.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And I think it was printed in M12.
Yeah.
It's in the maybe $10 to $15 range if you can find one. It's just a good one.
I mean, big flyers are always good. And then you make a big flyer search a card up for you. That just adds so much value to it.
And then, of course, the tribe, it's a demon, too. Yeah. So it's like, oh, Kalia screams for this. Yeah. Like, any demon deck you want to build, like...
It's kind of funny, speaking of tribes, I haven't really seen any tribal demon decks. Like I don't think anybody's really built that yet.
Who would you have? I guess you couldn't use Griselbrand.
I'd probably use Rakdos. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he does kind of what you want him to do by reducing their cost so much and all that stuff. I mean, I took a little bit of a different approach to Rakdos with Eldrazi, which I don't know, I think is good too, but I don't know. Maybe that's something to brew.
Another Incept.
Yeah, well, we're getting all this sweet tribal stuff. So I mean, like all of a sudden, all these tribes are now like
useful. And,
I mean, really, like it's almost like they're trying to make tribes competitive in like Commander at this point, because it's just like here's all the pieces that you always wish you had.
Yep, I could see that.
We need more of like metallic mimics and whatnot.
Yes,
but I think we're getting there.
Yeah,
and maybe hopefully in the next couple of years, which I don't know if they'll do this, but hopefully in the next couple of years we go back to Lorwyn and get some more changelings. Because I think that would really change the game.
Not to change here, do you feel Ixalan is kind of a take on that.
I do believe so.
I think so as well.
Yeah, it's very. It has the same feel. I wasn't around in Laura when like I wasn't playing then, but just looking through the binders and everything, it has that same kind of like almost whimsical, like very fairy tale. Well, I can't talk.
It's almost like you think of a Robinson Crusoe or something like.
Reminds me of like Peter Pan mixed with Jurassic Park mixed with like I don't know
what else,
Raiders of the Lost Ark or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd agree. Like, I think you do have a point. I think they were trying to go for a tribal theme.
Yeah.
Of course, Commander 17 helped. You think of like even Minotaurs. Of course, I played Minotaurs in both not really the second Hour of Devastation, but in Amonkhet, and then you see stuff like this. Like maybe they will come out with a good tribal demon or something like. Just to bring that together,
If they ever did a 5-color changeling that was legendary, I would just lose my mind because
that
would just open up the doors for so many decks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my 5-color spirits could finally
actually work.
I mean, we've got a decent commander now with the new dragon guy, but like, I think a changeling would be where I'd want to be.
Just like the
that
ultimate...
just changed all your creatures into a creature that you like. Now I'm like crafting cards. Like, say it was a 5-color legendary changeling. I don't even care what the power and toughness is. And then when you put it into play, it changes all the creature types, just like those other cards, to whatever creature type you choose. Like, how ridiculous would that be? I think that would be busted as hell. But
it'd have to be really weak, or you've got to win the game. I don't even know.
Yeah, it'd have to have some ridiculous downside. Well, I mean, it could cost 3 of each color or something stupid like that. But
yeah, who knows? But Runescar Demon, definitely a good one. Glad it's in print in the Iconic. And then, boy, if
another one, Lotus Cobra.
You think of Zendikar, you think of Landfall, and then you think of like the really good kind of like mini bird of the set.
Yep.
I remember when this card, I think one of my buddies traded away fetches at the time to get Lotus Cobras when this first came out, and I think
it makes sense.
Oh yeah. And they kept the art. There's that other Judge Foil art, which is a little different. It's, I think, Therese Nielsen art, maybe? No. Rebecca Gay.
Yeah, I think it is Rebecca Gay.
So, like,
but
this one, definitely iconic.
Amazing, so.
Yeah, they really, truly are. Yeah.
And this card, like, it went through a spike a little while ago, especially when Zendikar first came out, because I think a lot of people were looking to build, like, landfall casual decks, especially in Commander.
Talking original Zendikar?
Yes. Like,
okay, yeah.
Well, no, not original Zendikar. When the
BFZ.
new Zendikar came out, I think this card spiked a little bit because people were getting back into that landfall feel, because there are a lot of landfall-ish cards. Like, if you think about, like, the new Omnath.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I know that this card went up from, like, whatever to, like, $12 or something like that. And I think it's still around there somewhere.
I believe it.
Ridiculously good card. Like you were saying, I think 1v1 really is my favorite application of this, just because you get so much mana for, like,
just
early
doing
game.
what you're doing. Yeah.
And any kind of landfall deck, it's just ridiculous. So.
Yeah, another one. The reason we picked it, it's good that it's coming back.
This card needed a reprint really bad.
Yeah.
Like, it was getting up there in price, and it's once again really, really hard to find.
And
I think
it's really good.
Yeah. It's another one that kind of feels like it's losing a little bit of its like power in some ways, but then you really think about what it does, and it's just because people aren't playing it.
Yeah.
If more people played this card, I think it would be seen as much more of a terror.
I agree. Like, and I think like one thing I feel, some of this stuff, this is an older card. I think it was in Time Spiral first. So like the people that played during Time Spiral that might have had a copy, or it wasn't even not Modern Masters, FTV 20.
I think
he's in Venser. I'm thinking about.
Yeah, you're thinking of Venser. I'm not sure. I do think it was reprinted somewhere, but I don't remember where. I know that it's very scarce. Like, people don't play this card unless I think it's one of those that the price was driving so many people away from it, so we didn't see it as much. Which now that we are going to start seeing it, once again, I'm going to realize the power of it, because I do remember playing against it, and I do remember hating it.
Yeah, every time it's like, well, the game's over for me for this reason. Like, it's
especially when you're in the like control duel where like you're the other control player and the other control player plays this, and you're just like, oh,
game over. I think you're right. I think if more people played it, it would come back as that like terror on the board.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I will be looking for my copies. I need more than one, of course, but
let's see our next one. Sarah Ascendant.
Yeah,
Great new art.
It's probably one of my least favorite cards.
Like the card itself or the art itself?
Just the card.
Okay, yeah.
Just because I hate seeing it in Commander.
Yep.
It's probably one of my least favorite things to see right off the bat. Like, oh no.
I mean, if you think about it, they did not. I don't know if EDH had picked up. I think it was printed M11 the first time, but yeah, it was not well thought out. You see cards nowadays that say if you have 10 or more life from your starting life total, that I think is because of Seraph Ascendant. Of course, like this is in my Ben deck. This is huge in Modern as far as like, Soul Sisters and stuff. This card is so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's horrible. If you see that turn 1, it's just like, my God, it's bad. Or Leviathan Commander.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. We don't play that at our shop. We've kind of adapted
really.
to the new 20 life.
I guess that's Tiny Leaders, not Leviathan, because Leviathan is big creatures instead of small creatures.
I thought they called it dual Commander Leviathan if you started with 30 life.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just remember it being called Tiny Leaders.
Okay.
Either way, doesn't matter.
But yeah, like definitely good reprint.
It's ridiculous. Like I said, I hate seeing this card unless it's on my battlefield. But
yeah,
I think that's the same for pretty much anything, really.
Yeah.
I personally don't have a copy of this, but that's because I've never wanted to really dip into that territory of being that guy.
Yeah, the dude who's running the 1-drop 6/6.
Yeah,
with flying and lifelink.
I think I may get a copy and try and run it in like my black-white deck or something like that, just for fun. But
yeah,
it definitely I don't know.
Overall, glad it's getting a reprint.
Yes. Another card that was really expensive when it maybe shouldn't have been. But...
Yeah, Glimpse the Unthinkable. Good mill card, but I think it was from. It's Dimir, so it must have been like I think it was RTR or not RTR.
Original Ravnica.
Yeah, City of Guilds.
I know that there's always like this fringe like mill deck in Modern and like this fringe mill deck everywhere. I mean, even in Commander, like what are they gonna have to do to make mill work?
I think, and I've heard a number of people talk about this because in Magic's history, mill has been strong and weak. Like land destruction was strong, and now it's like vanished. You think of how like mana burn used to be a thing with mana barbs and like making your opponent tap out and all that stuff. Like this card, I think mill is one of those things that Wizards deems unfun, and I kind of agree. And that's why I don't think we see as much effective mill. Like, have you ever heard that from people?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I know that there are a few commanders that work decently with mill, like the god
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix works really, really good actually. And then we've got things like Lazav, which is more of like a benefit, like a secondary benefit card where you're getting a benefit for milling people, but it's not necessarily a mill win con all the time. I think that's more the direction that I would take with it. But like I said, for Commander purposes, I think it's just so shut down by just a few cards. Like Eldrazi are a huge example of that. Because if they're running an Eldrazi, unless you're prepared for it and you have a few tricks like the blue-black chick that can exile a card from the graveyard like at instant speed, there really aren't that many answers. So
no, there's not. And even if you're effectively milling somebody, they have 2 cards left, they draw 1. Even if they have 1 card left, and it's Elixir of Immortality, it's just like, well, this 75-cent card just beat my whole strategy.
My entire strategy.
Yeah, much less the $40 Titans and stuff like there's a lot of ways around mill it, especially when you've got 100 cards to blow through, know. So
I will say one thing that keeps everybody honest though. It keeps everybody with an Elixir of Immortality in their deck, because I have run into that situation where you're against a mill deck and you realize that, oh no, I didn't put one in here. I wanted to run this crazy card and now I'm really in trouble. I got to kill this guy before he mills me out, and then all of a sudden you're just, you're sunk.
Yep. Or even if you just get past it, it's like, okay.
One of my favorite plays against it nowadays is Psychic Spiral, because that just throws it back in their face.
I remember that I didn't play it, but you hear every time somebody would come up and turn in a match slip during Gate Crash, and especially against all the Dimir. So yeah, I got Psychic Spiraled.
Yeah.
I had 40 cards in my graveyard or their graveyard, and then they just hit me back, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
Such a good card.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, Glimpse the Unthinkable, definitely a good addition to the set, I'd say.
Yeah, this card. This is probably, it's not like value-wise, it's not ridiculous, but for me, it's one of my favorite cards for green-white. Like, it does everything that I want it to do.
Yes. They kept the original art.
Yes.
I think this was from Conflux, maybe the first time it was around. Definitely Shards of Alara block, but
yes,
just beautiful art. It reminds me of opening those cards and seeing this deck, and then like I know Chris, when we first went, or I guess the trip before we went to Japan, he bought some Maverick stuff because Maverick in Legacy was actually still around.
yeah.
And I think he got a Japanese Knight of the Reliquary, and it's just like it's so good for what it does.
Yeah.
It's so unique. Like this card could almost be a legendary creature, like just for what it
really
does.
could. Yeah, you are 100% right. Like, oh, I have fallen in love with this card over the last like maybe year because I finally rebuilt my 4-color landfall deck, and when I get this card in play, it just revolutionizes my entire game.
Yep.
Even though the deck is running 4 different colors of lands and all that stuff, but the forest and the plains aspect doesn't really slow me down. Like, I have plenty of those. Like, sacrifice Godless Shrine to go find whatever, and then just bring back Godless Shrine with your, Crucible Worlds or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, just such a good card. It is absolutely ridiculous. I love that it gets bigger with each land that's in your graveyard. It like I said, does everything that I want it to do.
I remember when people first saw this card, and like even myself, I was like, yeah, you're giving up a land to get a land. Like I don't, and of course okay, he's a 3/3, like, but there's no extra cost. You can fix that. It's just a land. You don't have. You could get.
Well, and you're not necessarily like
else.
You're not even necessarily losing a land. You're replacing the land that you get. So you're staying. You're not netting anything, but you're not losing anything.
Right.
But then once again, you get to those strategies where you're like returning lands with like with Crucible Worlds and the new Crucible Worlds on legs, and there are a lot of strategies like what's the card? It's a new sorcery that just came out in Innistrad that returns all your lands from your graveyard to play.
It's got Nissa.
Yeah. Something anyway. I can see it in my head. It's like 3 colors and 1 green or something like that.
Splendid Reclamation.
There we go.
Yeah.
Like cards like that, and there are a ton of them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You'd pitch every card in every land you had if you could. Like.
I mean, you just at that point you essentially double your lands. I mean, because if you have a way to untap her, but
yeah. Oh, God.
There are a lot of synergies and strategies you can play with this card.
Yes. Definitely a good one if you play green white. This card it'll get out of hand before your opponent even knows.
I saw one with I think Brian's doing this now on his 4-color Kainos and Tiro or whatever. He has the enchantment, the blue one that has whenever a land enters the battlefield you can untap a creature. It's one of the cycles, like the Coral Helm or whatever.
Okay.
So anyway, it's one of those ones that has the dual ones. It's either you can tap or untap a creature, or you can scry one whenever a land enters the battlefield. So you just do this, you sacrifice the land, you go get a land, you untap her, and then it was so good.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Especially since in his version of the deck, he runs Omnath, and then he runs the one card that whenever a creature enters, it deals damage to target player or creature equal to its power. There's a ton of those effects.
Yeah, but, like a Warstorm Surge.
Yeah, he runs that, so he just like literally kills you with a Knight of the Reliquary and that enchantment.
Gosh,
it's just so good.
Crazy. Definitely a good reprint, and it kind of speaks back to when I played.
Yeah. Oh, this one's here purely for the artwork.
Yep. Definitely.
It's pretty cool.
When I saw the list, this caught my eye immediately. I'm like, what card is that? And then of course, red black dragon, definitely Bladewing, and then there he is. Like, that is some sweet art.
It's kind of cool that they put it down to uncommon because, I mean, as we were just talking about, like, with doing Pauper Commander, like, now this is a Pauper Commander.
And one that I've always loved, it's awful, is Roshin, and she's uncommon now, too. Like, so a green-red X Commander,
Yeah. Like, we need more of those so we can legitimately have, like, Pauper Commander. Because there are a few, but I don't think there's enough to really, like...
There's the really, really awful old ones from like
that is dark. True. That is very true.
Yeah.
Like, well, and then there's the one that's actually kind of decent, the one that regenerates creatures or whatever.
Yeah, isn't there? I think is it Ragnar that's uncommon?
Yeah.
Because Ken used to build that one. Yeah.
When we did our Pauper thing.
It says right here it's uncommon. You
know?
Like, yeah. So definitely, just a cool that art.
I was gonna say I don't know how many common dragons there are, but I'm sure there's enough to.
I bet there's like some
something.
Little drakes or something. You know? Just that art, man. It's so sinister looking. This, of course, Lightning Helix is huge in Modern. I think I thought it was like a $3 or $4 for an uncommon or something. It's awesome. This is the Ajani vs. Bolas art. Just a good one.
I think it's a very fair card. Mm-hmm. Like it's very, like it's not. Well, I don't know. At the time, it might have been over the top. Now it's not so much over the top. It's just fair because it does everything really you want to in that situation.
Yeah,
so
you think of a lightning bolt plus a white spell that gains 3, like, and it's an instant. You know,
well, 6-point life swing is, if you're doing that, it's pretty good. So plus seconds is removal. So it does a lot.
I was gonna mention one thing I feel was present, especially in Modern Masters 1, especially Eternal. And this set looks pretty good. Uncommon foils that you could get in a pack.
Yes.
Like, if you get a foil Lightning Helix, or like, I remember it was, you think of, oh my gosh, I got a foil Path to Exile. You think of that 100 subscriber video we got. I think he got a 50-cent rare, but his foil uncommon was like $9.
Yeah.
Like, this is a feel-good uncommon foil if you pull it. So that's a good thing for the set overall, as far as you could get something cool for EDH just as your foil.
Do we know that they're doing that, like a foil in each pack?
If it's a $10 pack, I'd imagine.
Okay.
Because that's not their gimmick, but like that's how I kind of justify it. If people ask like, why are these packs $10? And say, well, you're guaranteed a foil, and your foil could be like pretty expensive if you think about it.
Just get a foil mana drain, and there you go.
Just sell that right around.
It's just like, well, there's my $240 for my box.
Yeah, it'll be the new Force of Will.
Really. Oh,
Aether
finally.
Vial,
This card needs a million reprints. It's so ridiculous in so many formats. Like, I've been playing it in 1v1 Commander for a while now, and I hadn't really experienced the power of it until then. And now that I've been playing with it, I'm just like, holy crap.
Yep.
And I know that's probably old news for a lot of people because, they've been playing it in Modern forever.
Yeah, if they play Modern or Legacy, they're just like, welcome.
Yeah, really. Come on, Steve. I mean, I had a Green-White Hate Bears Modern deck for a long time, and I did play it in that. I think I had 3 copies in there just because I could never buy the 4th for whatever reason. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I liked it, but I really didn't experience it as much until I got to a format that I really loved. Because Modern's fun to me, but like 1v1 Commander is really where it's at for me. And playing this on turn 1 in a like 1v1 Commander game, I've done it where I've had 1 land and still just won the game because it's just like, oh, I don't care.
Turn 2, where are my 2 drops?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, here he is.
Yep.
With things like Thalia, you can do that. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yes, a huge reprint.
Yeah.
Like imagine if you got a foil of that.
Oh yeah, really. Oblivion Stone.
Yeah, just a great card. I think this card is really good, but at the shop especially, I think it was Commander 11 when they printed it. Like for the first reprint, but it's kind of slowed down. I thought it was still like $20 or $30 at one point. It was way up there.
I think that Tron isn't using it as much anymore, and I think that's a big issue for the card as far as value. I don't even know if Tron is that as big as it was. I think it goes in cycles for that deck, because every once in a while you'll see it be like, oh, it's amazing again, and then
didn't it get hit by the whole Eldrazi Winters?
It did
banning?
really hard.
Yeah, so I bet that would make sense to me.
Well, because a lot of people converted to Eldrazi Tron, which was a really good call because Eldrazi Tron was ridiculous.
Just way better, yeah.
But I don't know. It's a card that's really good, and for our format, for Commander, it's positively ridiculous. There are so many applications for it. Like, if you think about like colors like blue that don't necessarily get those big destroy spells, and then all of a sudden you get something like this and just throw it in there, it's perfect.
Yep.
Green is another really good example of that, because you can just run this in there and just blow everything up and not care. Obviously black and white are just kind of like, I've got better solutions, but yeah. Our artifact decks love this, of course.
I was gonna say, I've got a sculpting steel in my shroom deck, but I had a foil Oblivion Stone that I picked up years ago that's still like on backup if I ever need to like beef that up.
Yeah. I'm really curious as to if they will ever make another card that like puts those particular fate counters on. I know there's a few now. I think there's like 2 or 3. Because
wasn't Kylie mentioned that about divinity counters? And
yeah.
Because like you think of the Myojin and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't there one?
There is
Crown of Fates or something.
There is like 2 other cards that do fate counters.
Yeah.
So I mean they exist.
Yeah.
It's just, will they ever get to other fate counters? Or you brought up a good point, like divinity counters. Like, will they ever get to that? Because I'd be interested to see.
And you think of the tie-in, like that makes those Myojin really good. I forget. Is it one of the dragons or something? I don't remember which card puts divinity counters in the C17, but
it's the enchantment. It's a 2-cost enchantment that comes in the vampire deck.
That's right. Yes, you're right. And you just think of like how strong that is, and just how like it just like seeps into your brain. Oh my god, I remember those. Like, and if they do the same sort of thing, oh my gosh, like this card has fate on them. You know,
I recently saw a 4-color Atraxa deck that focused around like counters, like odd counters like this. So it had like the 4 Myojin that it could run. It added that card, of course. And you know, this is another good example of a card that could be really good in there, because then you can just proliferate, which I guess doesn't matter for, well, that doesn't work because you need the counters to go on other permanents.
But I mean, you could still add one and have 2. I guess because it doesn't take them off, right?
No.
But for Myojin, at least, that's
yes,
still
for
pretty
Myojin,
good.
it's really good. Yeah. So, anyway, like maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do a brew up of like a counter deck. You know, I mean, like maybe that's our Ramos idea. Like just do like a odd counter divinity deck discussion.
I can see that. And cool art. The other one's pretty art as well, but you know, just kind of neat.
I like that it's different. Yeah. I think it's one of those cards that didn't necessarily need to stay iconic, like we've talked about before.
The scale's cool, being so small.
Yeah,
like
it's different. Yeah,
definitely neat. Let's see what's next.
Oh yeah, Mishra's Bauble. A lot of people are really butthurt about this one. That's for sure.
It was like a $40 to $60 uncommon,
and they really should have seen it coming.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think Wizards did almost the same thing with like another card a couple years ago as well.
Yeah.
It's just like we are gonna like if we see stuff like this, we're gonna reprint it, and you guys are gonna be really sad. Because honestly, I feel like that's the only reason this card's in here.
Yeah.
Because really, what does it interact with very well? Not really anything. I mean, it's a interesting card to play in like a sealed.
Yeah, I was gonna say limited
or limited aspect, but for the most part, it's not like, you know, I'm gonna be looking for this card or anything like that. I don't think a lot of people really are unless they're playing those decks.
Thank God it's an uncommon and not a rare, because there would be like riots outside Wizards.
Well, I don't know about that, but
if you're trying to build whatever deck this goes into Modern, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, good idea. Good job, Wizards. Like kind of you showed them.
Yeah. You showed the secondary market. Yeah, it's cool.
I hate seeing cards like that just go like ridiculous, and it's just like people. Like, because that's when it becomes buyout, not like demand. Because there are people that are just speccing it. And to me, that, it doesn't ruin the game, but it makes the game a little less accessible for people.
Yeah.
Because I think at a point, this card was thought of as like a budget version for that deck, essentially. And then all of a sudden it got really, you know, obviously it became really popular because it's really good for what that deck is trying to do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was a $40 card. And it's just like, well, now people that were trying to build that, you know, maybe they can't.
Yeah, and shops that had them they're going to just, I mean, I think we got a few in our case because the guy had a guy traded in the deck and now we got copies. Like, yeah. But, you know.
Almost the same Flusterstorm situation.
Yeah.
For you at least.
It's just how it goes. Yeah. Like, but yeah.
Well, I think Flusterstorm will stabilize pretty fairly high. You know, it won't be. It's not going to be an $80 card, but it'll probably be at least like a, you know, $30,
$50 card or something.
30, 40, 50 maybe. I don't know.
Depending on how big the print run is, that's another thing.
If we get two runs of this set like we were supposed to with Eternal Masters, which I don't think ever happened actually.
I don't think it did. I don't remember.
I know everybody talked about it like it was going to, but it never actually did. But it did happen with Modern Masters 3, correct?
I think so.
Or was it Eternal Masters?
It was weird because we were out of the country for that week that the set came out, and then I just don't remember.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, whatever. Mishra's Bauble.
Woo!
Oh man.
This is a really good reprint. This card was getting really expensive for really no reason at all. It's good. It is a good card, but it's not a card that should be expensive. It's not Gilded Lotus. It is Thran Dynamo. This is, in my opinion, the budget version of that.
Yeah.
And if you're playing artifacts or colorless or monocolor, this card is ridiculous. Even dual color, this card is ridiculous. I love the boost that it gives you. The fact that it can tap for 3 after you pay 4, so essentially you're losing 1 mana that turn. Like, it is so good.
I love it. It really is.
And the artwork is just still on point. Like, I've done a few alters of this, and it just, you know, doing a full frame of this just looks so good.
I had to hunt down for my Shroom deck a foil version of this from, I think it was Urza's Legacy was the first print, and I think it was like $25 at the time. But it was old border. I don't know if they've done a new frame print of this.
Yeah, because it was in one of the From the Vaults.
You're right.
It was From the Vaults 20.
I think you're right.
That's the only foil version I have.
Okay. And
Which, from the vaults foil.
Yeah, some people may I mean, they could make the Avacyn foils of these, and everybody'd be like, okay,
Yeah,
there's my Avacyn foil silver mana drain that I don't want. Hopefully they don't do that. But yeah, seeing this one in a non-rainbow foil would be pretty sweet. I forgot about that print.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love it. It's fair.
It really is.
You don't need to worry about like all those weird mana rocks you got to pay 3 and then untap for 4. It's just like you just throw it out there.
It's simple.
Yeah, it's simple.
Which is oddly enough usually the most effective.
Yep, I agree.
So
good print there. $8. I'm sure it'll be like $3 after this. And we get into the lands.
God, I wish I still had my green white hate bears deck at this point, because that made this all way more accessible. Because I remember I needed 3 copies of this, and it was the only card I didn't have in my green white hate bears modern deck list, because they were like $60 a piece, and it's just like
I'm sure they're probably I'm sure going down now, but
I just always felt like I could build an entire commander deck for $60. Why am I going to spend that on
much
one
less
land?
180? For 3 of them.
Yeah. So
they I know we talk about this a lot. They need to finish this cycle.
They really do. It's one of those that is the entire gambit of them. The only one I wouldn't really care for is the River of Tears. Like I don't care for that cycle at all.
I could see a little, like people always joked about that really was a card of tears in standard, because people would be like, okay, I played this, I'm gonna tap it, and they're like, you can't. You did this and you're locked out of this color, and it made people cry. Not really, but like I agree.
It's an interesting way to have a dual land that doesn't have a downside as far as coming into play, have a downside while in play.
Yeah.
But man, it's backbreaking. Whereas the entire rest of the cycle is absolutely ridiculous.
You think of filters, you think of the storage land, or
the Nimbus Maze.
Yeah. You think of Horizon Canopy, you think of Grove of the Burn Willows, and we've seen one of them.
Yes.
With these filters from like Eventide Shadowmoor,
which I know a lot of people were, at least in my play group, were kind of confused about why we just got Graven Cairns. It's because Graven Cairns was part of that Future Sight cycle.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. We didn't get the entire filter land set. There's a reason for it.
Set later.
It makes sense, And I really like that they kept the vampire artwork too, because with all these vampire decks running around, I'm sure people are geeking out about that. So I would be. So
yeah, and it's the first print rather than the Shadowmoor or Eventide version, which isn't. This art looks nuts.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like this.
Oh, Noah Bradley, of course.
This is one of those that I would look for a foil. If not, I would just full art this because it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, very, very well done.
Yeah. Reminds me of Breath of the Wild.
yeah, I could see that.
Or Skyrim, or something like that.
Yeah.
Grove of the Burn Willows. Another one that they could do a full cycle of.
Yes. Just really interesting. I know that this one, like you said, was the previous one, Horizon Canopy, a big part of, like, I know Ashley played it in her Naya Hexproof for Modern. I think Chris played it in the Maverick when that was around. This one, of course, is part of Green Red Tron. It's good.
It's once again, it's another interesting way to give a dual land that doesn't come into play tapped or have a downside that way, a downside that isn't necessarily
so
that bad. And if you think about it, there are a lot of group hug decks out there that might just enjoy giving each of its opponents life. Like, there are ways to make that be a benefit to you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would love to see a full cycle of this, even if they just did like all the ally ones. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, definitely good.
Anytime I get a new dual land for Commander, I don't care.
And I think I always feel that I'm surprised in how well they all fit.
Yeah.
You think of, okay, we just had the BFZ lands, then we get the Amonkhet lands, then we have some from Kaladesh, and it's just like, okay, this is like, slow down here, guys. And then it's just like, those are really good, these are really good, those are really good. Like, and
good job, Wizards.
Yeah, some of them they're starting new cycles and finishing others and stuff, but like, yeah, even a half cycle wouldn't be bad. And really, it's like, I'm always surprised with how they can craft another way to do something and make it fit, make it fair, make it awesome. And this is a good example. So that might be the end of our slideshow. It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I think Iconic Masters is really good for anybody that's playing Commander. I will always take that approach on anything, of course. Whether you should run out and buy a box, I mean, that's up to you, and if you think you need it. I personally will definitely be buying a box, just because there are some cards in here that really buying them on their own is kind of rough.
Yeah.
You know, even the mana drain will probably still be quite a bit. So I like the luck of the roll, you know, just opening up packs and seeing what I get, and usually I stop there. So I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the packs I've opened of like the other Masters sets, like some of the cards that I've got in my collection that I haven't like pared down are the cards I pulled out of those packs.
Yeah.
Like I won't forget this, or you know, somebody before me got a Termagoyf in their pack, so they passed like a foil Path to Exile to me, and it's like take, you know,
yeah, mine.
yeah, like they're you know, it's just on that regard. Roll of the dice, those like awesome, super powerful cards that you can keep in your collection and beef up your deck. Like you can't beat that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What do you say? Have we talked about it?
We've talked about it.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Tune in. We'll try to post these every Thursday.
Yeah.
We might do a stream at some point. I know we talked about that in the past, and just maybe interact with you guys if you have some stuff to say to us. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Steve.
Signing out.
Yeah. Thank you.